let's think about the distribution side of things, because certainly, interestingly enough, we visit a lot of warehouses, but we have recently been inundated, haven't we, with kind of inquiries and working with companies who are shipping products. And sometimes that distribution of products could be, they're distributing products to other organizations. It could be that they're distributing them to end consumers. It could be that they're receiving products, but this whole distribution piece, the boxes coming in and leaving the building, has been something that we've just been hearing about a lot lately. I think, there are three kind of drivers for that. First, it is when we're talking about distribution, having returns and wasted resources is hugely expensive. And we've already established that driving down costs is really valuable for business. Second, that it is time consuming if you have to rework, reship products. If there are inefficiencies, you have to repackage things. That's really time consuming and expensive. And we come back to that damage to brand reputation and customer satisfaction. So if distribution isn't happening well, it is costly both financially and brand wise as well. So Tolga, do you want to take a second and maybe now talk a little bit about kind of specific challenges that you're seeing at the companies that you're talking to, and maybe give some case study examples?
Yep, let's do it again. So now focusing in on this kind of distribution environment, right? Which could be at the kind of back end of a factory where you're done building and now you're doing something with the product you built, or it could be a distribution center or a 3PL or some kind of shipping operation. In all these cases, there are interesting problems that look similar. So the first one is sort of incorrect items being packaged and shipped, the wrong quantity or the wrong product. We've heard a lot of use cases here where there's a dispute between what was loaded on the truck and what the customer received. And the question is, did we load the truck incorrectly? Did we have an issue with where the driver or somebody along the way tampered with the product that was in the truck? Or did the customer maybe count wrong, or their own sort of recollection of what was received is incorrect? So being able to kind of provably manage that is really helpful. The second is the labels. And labels are actually, obviously used all over the process, right? We have labels on boxes that come in as raw materials or that come in as product to be stored. And then we have labels on finished products that are going out to a customer or to another distribution facility. And those labels being incorrect is a problem. Or more importantly, those labels actually have really valuable data in them that you could use to understand more about what's happening, right? If we could read those labels as they pass through key spots. And I think when we talk about label reading, people assume it's just about reading the barcodes, but actually barcodes are only useful if you kind of control what the label is. But think about an incoming shipment where you're getting a product, maybe a raw material from a vendor. It's not your label. And what's on that barcode may not be that meaningful to your systems. But what is meaningful is often the text on the label. What product is this? Or what PO number does this match up to? Or what part number is it? Or what's the serial number of it? So being able to read those labels is really, really interesting. And then and reading them while things are moving, right? There's another part of the story there.
Well, and Tolga, let me ask a question if I can before you go past that. So when we think about those labels in particular, one of the things that I think people assume is that you have to, kind of like you have to know what every label looks like. And that's not true, is it, for computer vision?
Yeah, so these new approaches are much more than just OCR. But OCR is optical character recognition. That's kind of what you've seen for a long time, where you can take a picture of something and convert the text in the picture to actual text you could copy and paste. The newer models that are using neural networks to do this, they actually can also understand the intent of the label. So if they see the word serial number and then next to it or under it, they see some letters and numbers, they can make that correlation, like structured correlation, that's the serial number. And so that's really useful, because if you're receiving various different parts from various different vendors with various different labels, you can understand from a variety of vendors what each label means, in not just the text on the label, but the kind of meaning of the label.
Yeah, that's got to make a big difference, right? Because if you've got products coming in from lots of different vendors, there's no way that you could possibly map or, kind of set up an understanding of every different kind of label that could come in.
Yeah, and it would be challenging and error prone to manage that right? So here we train on a bunch of sample labels, and then we're able to understand most labels that are, in roughly the same form, but not but we've never seen that label before.
I know we've got a couple of companies that are looking to connect that label reading process up with other systems. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think with all these use cases, you're going to integrate with some kind of ERP solution, right? So whether it's the number of boxes that should be loaded on the truck, or whether it's the meaning of a label and what that means to your process, or whether it's this last item about inventory gaps and positioning of inventory, there's going to be some kind of warehouse management system or ERP, or a combination of systems that have either source data that is important to the process, or that want to consume what the cameras are seeing to finish out the process. So very typical that this data is only useful when combined with a broader strategy. The third bullet here is about inventory and where items went. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, like where did we store an item? And where, like right now that's done oftentimes by kind of barcode scanning. So the driver of the forklift that drops off an item scans some label on the box or pallet, and then also scans a label on the shelf that they're putting the item on. And I've seen examples where they have to take their seatbelt off and get off the forklift and go scan the shelf. That's that's seconds of additional time for each load you drop off. That does add up across a large facility. And also it's error prone, because you could scan one label over and be totally wrong about where that product was placed. So what if we could automatically track where something was placed and where it was picked up from and where it should go? So cameras can see that. Cameras are a great solution for that. We're working on really interesting solutions that involve the cameras actually being on the forklifts themselves. And so wherever the forklift goes, we can see what's happening. A couple of examples like I did last time. Here, we've got, a food and beverage distributor that's sending out daily trucks to retailers, right? So every day, every retailer in the area orders whatever it is they need to restock their shelves with. So this is going all the way to the end retailer. And they were having to adjust the invoices that they were sending customers, because there was a dispute, commonly a dispute, between what was delivered and what was expected to be delivered. And so here, counting which products are loaded and how many of them are loaded on each truck as they're loaded. And then actually in the next step, to even count them as they're unloaded from the truck by using cameras on the truck, gives you provable sort of, here's what we loaded, here's what we unloaded, this is what you got, Mr. Customer. It lets you get that invoice out to the customer the second the truck leaves your facility, and it reduces the dispute process and the having to track down kind of what happened, where the miss was. So separate example here, this is an electronics manufacturer that has to receive a bunch of raw materials to custom build a product. And so they don't want to start the custom build until they've received all the raw materials. And the raw materials are kind of ordered just in time. So their customer orders the custom product, and they in turn order a bunch of raw materials. And those raw materials will come in over days or weeks. And as they come in, we use that label reading technology to read the labels of what came in and automatically track that, hey, we've now got all the parts that we need to go ahead and schedule this order to be built. Prior to doing this with computer vision, it was being done by people. So as parts came in, somebody with a clipboard would kind of mark off what came in and then manually update the system to say what they've gotten. You could also detect, by the way, hey, we didn't expect this part. Why is this here? Where is it going? Exception process for the box that is misplaced or misread. So here we can, adjust inventory in real time, know what we've received, know what we need to go build the products that we need to build to get to our customers, and minimize sort of the staff, the manual processes involved in these kind of journeys.